Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm joined by James Allcott.
Hello.
How are you doing today, James?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I was just saying before you clicked record that I was just looking at some of the people you've had on here. Laura Woods, Loz has been on here, Mark Goldbridge, Flex. Got some star-studded names on here. I don't know why you want to talk to me, but I'm very happy to talk to you, Anthony. It's good to see you, mate.
And it's good to see you, mate. To be honest, I've been wanting to get you on for a long time, but we've obviously had different time schedules and things like that.
That's true. Yeah. It's taken a couple of weeks, isn't it? I think we tried to get this done about a month ago. It might have been something like that, but like we both said to each other, it's all right. We'll get there. And now, finally, we are here, mate. So it's good. I'm looking forward to the one question I have for you right at the start is: are you a football man? And if you are, who's your team?
Me and football have a weird relationship. I like it, but I don't follow it like religiously.
Oh, okay.
Like I like watching it. Like if it's on TV, I enjoy watching it. But I wouldn't say I know every single team and
Right.
who's the star players.
Okay, that's probably for the best, you know. It's probably it's a calmer life, not having football as you not following it religiously. So I think you might have made the right choice there, and
To be honest, I'm not. The way you guys look at football, I look at pro wrestling like that.
yeah, I saw that. I've seen you've done some stuff on your channel about that, haven't you? You've done some wrestling stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So, so, so the first time I saw you with your interview series, The Process.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Do you know what? I've been really bad, and a few people have tweeted me recently saying, "When's it coming back?" Because I haven't done one for a little while. So I might need to try and get it going again. But yeah, that was when I started my own channel. That was the big thing that I did want to do. It's the only idea that I had, and if anyone's seen my YouTube channel, it's like there's too many ideas on that channel. But the process was the idea that I wanted right from the start, which was the sort of chance to kind of get into the weeds a little bit with some of the people that I'd met in this sort of weird YouTube world along the way, because it is a weird world. It's a really weird world, and I love doing it. I've really enjoyed doing it. Hopefully, I need to get it back up and running again soon. You might need to share your contacts book, mate, because you've got more big hitters than I have on my podcast.
I'm sure, I'm sure, I'm sure you'll be better at contacting people because when it comes to emailing, I'm really bad because I'm not used to sending emails. So I always end up like, because on Twitter it's very informal, yeah.
Hmm.
I always find on the email, I always struggle to use the right, the right term, the right term of language on the email, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you had the right way of doing it though. We started chatting on with little videos, and I think that's the way to do it, mate. Because I'm the same with emails. I'm sort of sometimes I just my grammar's a disgrace. Like autocorrect on a phone is very dangerous, and so a little video where you can kind of go, oh look, this is what I'm thinking of. That's I think that's a good way to go, mate.
Like, when you have to put like a subject title or whatever it's called, yeah.
Yeah.
I always say, what do I say? So I just call it interview request. So,
Yeah.
and depending on the person, they might get like a million of them a day.
Yeah, I have. There's two. I get a few, not a million, definitely not a million, but I get a few. I have two rules. I kind of have one where, if it's sort of recommended. So Loz got in touch with me, and said that I needed to meet you. So that's a good one. You know, if Loz says do something, generally, you know it's safe. And the other one I do actually, I say to people, you know, if it's come back to me when you've done 30 of something. Like if you've done 30 podcasts or whatever it is you want to do and you want me to come on. I actually did it with a guy who's got a QPR channel. And I'm a QPR fan, and this guy asked me to do something. I said, go do 25 videos, and then we'll do it. Because then I know I know you care about your product as much as you want me to. So then we did a video after that. So that's the way I kind of go about it.
Yeah, I find that my apologies. I find that is the best way to do it, because if you don't take it seriously and only do 2 or 3 episodes, it will look quite bad, or not bad, but it doesn't look it's not a good look. I don't think.
It looks a lot more. Looking at, like I say, I can just click on your channel and see how many you've done. It shows that you care about it, which I think is a big part of any content these days. Like you've got to, I think you see that now sometimes with other things, that you can tell, like an audience can tell straight away if you care about something or if you don't really. So you can tell with your back catalogue there that you're working really hard to get some really good guests on.
But sometimes I'm too honest. Like I did an interview the other day with the porn star Samantha Mack, and to be honest, I didn't like that interview. I just thought it just didn't connect how I wanted it to connect.
Yeah, well, do you know that those things happen as well? Because I think that's a really interesting thing to talk about, actually, Anthony. Because when you I think my favorite thing to do is interviewing someone else. So that's the other thing when I get asked to do interviews, sometimes I feel a bit funny because I don't really like being the guy asked to talk. I'd rather ask you, like, I'm doing it now, aren't I? I'm, 2 minutes into an interview that's supposed to be about me, I'm asking you questions, but I really enjoy asking, getting to know other people and what they're thinking about different things. And so when you have those kind of interviews, like the process, I think I've been really, really, really fortunate with the process that I've been quite careful about who I've had on, and it's got to be people that I really, really do want to kind of know something new about them. But sooner or later, it's going to happen where you're going to have that interview that you hope it's going to go one way, and it ends up going another way. But I think that's just life in itself. Anything that you plan and think it's going to be like this in your head, it will never, ever, ever be like that. So it's the same with interviews. Why didn't you think it connected then, this interview?
Because basically I thought some of my questions were quite poor, and I got the vibe here. I need to be careful how I word this, because I did make a video on it, and I don't think I explained it well. I don't think I explained it very well in the video. Basically, I got the vibe that he was very. When somebody doing something, but they're not interested. That's the vibe I got.
Yeah. Do you know what though? Do you know what's surprising with a lot of these things, mate? So sometimes actually that could have been something like just how you were feeling about it, and actually, the person you were interviewing didn't feel like that, but you were kind of, maybe when it's something like there's some difficult talking points that you kind of feel a bit more nervous about than you would do with someone else, then maybe it's actually sometimes it's something that you're feeling that the other person is. I think that's something that's really, really common. You kind of think, I've had that so many times. You're doing an interview, or I used to do a lot of red carpet stuff, and you thought, oh no, that was terrible, what am I going to do? And then you'd get back to the office or wherever you are, and you'd look at it, and actually, if you look at it just on face value, you don't see any of those things. So I think that's something to keep in mind, is that as much as you might, sometimes your feelings are right, and sometimes your feelings are just kind of how you're programmed a little bit. So if you're a little bit sensitive, for example, so I'm quite a sensitive guy, so sometimes I now know that if I get that feeling, that feeling when you're just like, oh no, like you don't feel great about something, I know now that I have to wait have to wait at least a few hours before I truly like believe in how I'm feeling, if that makes sense, with my head as much as my heart. So that might be the case for you as well, mate. It might be something that you were feeling, but they weren't feeling, and something that people, you know, don't see when they watch it as well. So don't beat yourself up about it, bud.
Of, of course, but the way I worded it in my video, I think a lot of people took it as disrespect on the person, and obviously I didn't mean it like that. But I think it's the way I think it was the way that I worded it. To be honest.
Well, that's what though. It's good to learn from it, right? Like if you're just getting the right questions all the time, you're not going to get better. Now, I think the next interview where you'll see ahead of time what things you want to talk about and what things you want to kind of touch on that might make the person a little bit nervous. There's you know, there's a lot of ways that you can kind of make the person that you're talking to feel, I guess, safe. Like I think that's the thing that I often want to do is I want to let them know at the start of an interview that I get it. I get how you're feeling, or I'm looking to get it. Like either way, even if you don't get it, kind of almost being clear. Like I've done interviews with people that like, I've gone through stuff that I have no idea what they're talking about. But that's the point, is that I kind of I'm interested. I want to know how they're feeling about things like that. So that might be another way that sort of down the line is kind of, is how you approach those things. I can't remember the guy's name, but there's an interviewer who's kind of known for being brilliant. And he always says, like, you know, you have to start with the heart of the person that you're talking to, so that they can kind of get that you get them. And if you do that, then they'll drop their guard a bit and they won't be as nervous about those scary questions that you want to ask later in the interview. So maybe that's the way to go.
I like it, and I also think, in hindsight, it was my first audio. It was my first interview where
Anthony, sorry, bud. I'm just going to shut my window because there's something really loud going on outside. I don't know what it is. Give me one sec. There's a street sweeper outside. Massive van. Sorry, mate.
Okay, to be honest, I thought it was a room, but I thought it was a room van, so I wasn't gonna mention anything.
Oh, sorry, mate. Not good enough from me. But
Anyway, as I'm gonna say, I think in hindsight, because that was the first interview where I haven't seen the person face to face. So I think that might have also been an issue on my part.
that's it, mate. Well, again, these are all things that, like, when things go wrong, you think, why did it go wrong, and how do you make it not happen again? So that's the thing, you know. And that's probably why the process hasn't been as frequent now, because of things like COVID. I initially kind of took the idea that, I've always done the process face to face, like, you know, sat next to the person, and I haven't been able to do that. But now I'm starting to think myself that actually, like I saw a friend of mine, Flav, the other day, and I do a podcast with him, so I see him on, you know, like I'm chatting to you now on a video call most weeks or all the time, and we just sat down and I was like, I haven't seen you since March, like face to face. And he was like, nah, we've seen each other. I was like, we haven't seen each other. So the point is that actually you can still have a great conversation. You're proving it with your channel at the moment. You can still have those really good conversations over Skype. So I need to get back on it. I do need to get back on it.
My problem is, I'm too open with my opinion when it comes to things like that. Yeah, because after the interview, I basically made a video basically saying it was one of my worst interviews so far. So far, that genuinely how I felt. Yeah, obviously no disrespect to her intended, but I did feel like it was one of my worst interviews so far. I think a lot of people mistook that as disrespect on the actual person. that I had on.
Yeah.
And, I, and obviously I didn't intend it like that. But,
No.
but I now understand that people can interpret it like that.
Yeah, well, that do you know that's the other thing that you're doing it, mate. You know, when you're making content and you put it out there, that's kind of something that you just have to live with, mate. That some people aren't gonna they're not gonna get it, or they're gonna come and interpret it with the feelings that they've had from that day. Do you know what I mean? They've had a crap day and then they've sat down, and then they've watched this, and then they're not in the best mood anyway, and so then they interpret something not in the way that you're intending it to. So I think you've got to remember, always just settle on your intentions. As long as your intentions are good, then that should help you feel a bit more bulletproof with that kind of stuff, because you don't want to upset yourself over things that you can't control. All you can control are your intentions, mate.
And I think this is just my perspective. I think it's important to be honest with your viewers to a certain point. That if you think a certain interview is not connect, just talk about it and explain why you think it didn't connect, or why you think it could have been better. 'Cause I'm not gonna lie, some people did like it, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, I just think there's something wrong with giving your own opinion on your own work.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's a great thing about YouTube. You don't see as much on on TV, like things like that. Often TV, it's all very polished and clean, but often it doesn't feel as authentic. And these, the people that watch your stuff, they care about you. So it's good that it can highlight that you can be honest back with them. Like I've done similar things. I've done a couple of videos where you just feel like, oh, I just feel like I should let you know this. Like I left my job, a couple of years ago, and I felt I'd been in that job for quite a few years. So I was like, oh, I should probably tell people about this, like little things like that. But that's a good thing. It's your channel. You put whatever you want on there within reason.
Because as soon as I uploaded that video, I lost weight. I think I lost weight. Sorry, I think I lost weight. 10 subscribers. Like normally to a normal channel, that it wouldn't mean anything. But because I'm trying to reach 1,000, obviously it's more, when you got a smaller audience, it's more noticeable. So you do tend to notice it a lot more.
Yeah. I'd remember though with the subscribers. Sometimes they just like I have that. You have it. You'll be looking at checking on your subscribers, and for some reason you've lost like 200 subscribers. You're like, well, hang on, what have I said? What did I do? But actually, you haven't said or done anything. You've actually just sometimes YouTube just gets rid of a few accounts now and again. So it might not have been that, mate. You don't know.
And, and obviously, I fully understand that. But you do wonder. And I am a thinker anyway, so that probably makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah, but it's good that you're a thinker, mate. That's like, that means you care about what you're doing. So don't worry. Don't stop thinking. We need you to keep thinking, huh?
To be honest, my problem is when it comes to my channel, I've had it for so long, and I've been through so many content cycles that I've got followers that still like me for my old stuff, which I'm not doing anymore. So I guess that could be a part of the reason as well.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But again, that's this is all part of it, mate. You're living that life, like you can't keep. I remember going to YouTube Space, and they were talking about how to kind of freshen up your content. When I was a year or so, a couple of years ago, and they were saying that there is there's an arc with your content that like, oh, you'll do something, people will like it, and people will get excited about it. And then it will get to a point where it will kind of plateau a little bit because people are used to it. And so you then have to do something new to kind of keep it going. Like, I'm sure there's a million examples that people could tell us that of people that have series that are really interesting, but then they don't kind of, I don't know, they I think something like this is a little bit different because, you know, people always like those sort of long conversations, but certain content you need to kind of keep switching up, both for yourself and for your audience. So don't ever worry about that either, mate. I think if you've got a good idea or you think it's a good idea, then you'll be better for it by seeing what it looks like on your channel.
So, you know, the process, no, no pun intended, what is the process of getting something? Get, get,
There is a pun intended. You're laughing. I can tell you're laughing. What is the process of the process? So I would say the biggest part of the process is to really zone in. It's kind of to zoom in on something and then zoom out again, to kind of get perspective of stuff that, well, I think often when you're in the middle of something at different times, it feels bigger than it is, which is fine, which is not a bad thing. And that's the good things and the bad things. That's the whole point. I think you should zoom in on great moments. You know, I do a Football Manager series, which is obviously fiction, but I get caught up in it because I choose to zoom in on it because I'm going to go, right, this means something now, and I lose my shit. And so yeah, the process of the process is to sit down with people and to try and zone in and zoom in so much on key moments in their journey that the audience can empathize with what they were feeling in that moment. So for example, what's a good example? Say like Lawrence, who I know you've had on. I'm just looking at his face here on my other screen. So say Lars, we're talking to him about, you know, hitting 30, being in a stage of his career where, you know, I think he's lauded quite a lot for how talented he is. But, you know, what's it feel like to be that person? It's not something I have to worry about. That's something that it's a pressure that he has to kind of have, because he does get a lot of that adulation for his filmmaking and his editing and stuff like that. And so with that comes a pressure of, you know, where you want to be. So that's an example. I Am Alex, I did one with I Am Alex where he, you know, talked about him supposedly getting cancelled and how you feel like at that moment in time. And the reason why I want to zoom in on those things is to highlight how people feel and therefore get empathy from people that are watching. Because I think if you can put yourself in the shoes of those people, you get a better picture of it, and then you can empathize with it, and then you feel something about the content that's being made. That said, I then like to kind of zoom out again and go, you know, how does that look from a you know, a distance? You know, what does that look like? And say someone like Ian Holloway, those different moments in your life when you then zoom out further down the line. I think we've all have that hindsight, don't we? Where you go, oh, okay, it was all meant to be, or it's like, oh, it wasn't my fault, or oh, it was my fault. Like any of those things, when you zoom out, you see that as well. And so that's it for me. I think when I'm thinking of an interview, do you know what? It's a good question. It's bizarrely, no one's asked me that question, but I think that what I do always go to, and I've said it in the interviews, is I go to words. You know, when I see someone and what they're about, there are certain sort of buzzwords that kind of come into my mind, and I often kind of use those words to then sort of allow myself to kind of drill down into something, be it their feelings on something, or experiences that they've been through. Yeah, so I think that those are the kind of a few of the things that I'm kind of thinking about when I go into those conversations. But I think, yeah, the big thing is empathy. It's just trying to figure out how people felt at different times. Because I think on YouTube in particular, my channel, there's a very, you know, you have a clear demographic of, you know, I've got like 95% blokes, 18 to 35 or whatever it is. So, you know, I'm in that range. So I know what a lot of us guys are thinking a lot of the time, and a lot of us are just wobbling. We're all just wobbling all the time. We're just scared, we're hoping that things are going to work out. We're hoping our dreams are going to come true, and we're just sort of going through ups and downs all the time. So I think that was the other thing that I think has resonated with other people. But I think at the time I could see, when I started it, I could see that people were feeling like that. They were kind of, and they needed to see that other people were feeling like that. And yeah, it's been great actually. Do you know what? And a few people have asked me about it recently, and I do need to bring it back, because I get so much out of it. Like, for people to really like it the way that they do, means it must be all right. So that, yeah, it's good, man.
With respect, to me, your other content, it's okay but there's loads of people that do that sort of content, and I said, I think the process really helps you stand out from the rest of the pack, if you know what I mean.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I think for me, I'm always, you can't, if you try and do with the process, for me, it's got to be worth it, and it's got to be people that I get excited about their story, and the opportunity to share their story with other people. So I think that's the thing. I always, that's something I learned from Brian. I think so. Brian, with his podcast, he won't do a podcast with a guest that I used to try and get guests for Brian's podcast to try and help with that a little bit. And it's tough because he wants people that he's excited about and that he knows his audience, like there's a standard that he's hit, and he wants to keep that. So as much as, it'd be great to just do the process. I think for me personally, you want to have those creative outlets, but also you need to be able to make more content than just that for me. So I want to be able to do other bits and pieces. But yeah, I think you're right. You're not the only one who said that to me. I think that's the process definitely seemed to hit a little nerve with some people, which is great.
Because to be honest, yeah, because obviously my first couple of guests are very football orientated, like, because they do football and they're in the footballing space. Obviously, naturally, a lot of these football fans came over and started giving me support, yeah, which is cool, yeah. But I don't think I'm that knowledgeable to really do football content like that.
Well, then, mate, then you mustn't, like, don't do content you don't want to do. That's you can't crowbar it like that. You've got to be doing stuff that you're excited about, because you won't have the energy to do it otherwise, mate. It's like, yeah, don't worry about that.
Because in hindsight, I wish I would have explained to people that even though I am getting sports people on to start with, this is a podcast for anybody and for everybody and anybody, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd say with that? If you look at, if you look at the process and look at the numbers on certain ones, there's that's the thing, you're talking about losing 10 subscribers, things like that. You've got to be careful with the numbers. Like I've recently had a very good month on YouTube, and I'm so wary of it. I almost didn't enjoy it, because I'm just like, because there are such waves with all of this stuff. But some of the people that I've interviewed on the process, I interviewed Steve Crossman, who is a sports guy, but did a podcast on, God, I've forgotten his name now, on a boxer who was Ruben Carter, on a boxer who was put in prison for 25 years, something like that, for a crime he didn't commit. And it's the most amazing podcast. But it didn't do very well because, it wasn't a football podcast with a football YouTuber. And you've got to kind of be able to kind of detach those things. Or like the last one I did was with Johnny Nelson, which I think is one of my favorites, where his story is, as a boxer, is how it's not a film. I don't know. I don't understand it. But views wise, for me, it did really badly. So so do you just to kind of discount any kind of quality of that podcast because it didn't get the views of another one with a big YouTuber? Absolutely not. Like, you've got to be really careful about that kind of stuff, man. It's got to be about what you want.
To be to be honest, I can understand what you're saying because the Johnny Nelson one is my personal favourite. So it's all that taste, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's all about taste, and more importantly, it's all about your taste. Like, what do you care about? You know, because it's just it'll eat you up if well, unless you're cool about it being just about the views, you're fine. But you're then that's something you can't control. The one thing you can control is what you're creating, what you're putting out, because you're the exec producer of your channel. You're the main guy. So you should never apologize for the things that you're interested in or the things that you make, as long as you're excited by them and you're proud of them. And the views are the views. You know, there's, you know, for some of us, there's an element where, look, there's things that you kind of, you know, money does play a part in all of it. Like Jackmate's I was just chatting to Jackmate yesterday. He's just got his Spotify deal, which is amazing for him. But, you know, he says in his announcement video of the Spotify deal, he says, I love doing the Happy Hour podcast, but if it wasn't making any money, I wouldn't do it. So he's that's a different level that he's at. But if you're not at that space, if you're in a space where it's just something you're doing for the love of it, you need to make sure you are doing it for the love of it and not for the views, because it's so dangerous, man. So dangerous.
I think some of my favourite ones are the one that I do with comedy, like Alex McCarthy. You probably don't know that idiot, but he works for Talk Sport, and he covers wrestling for them. And even though it didn't do the best views wise, because I'm such a big fan of wrestling, that was one of my favourite ones to do.
That's it. And you've got that forever. Like, you know, forget about anyone else. Like, you've had that moment now, and that's what it's about with these things. Is for you, you know, it's the ability to. You know, for me, presenting interviews, things like that. That it's not to hit a certain amount of subscribers. It's like I want to know these people. I want to connect with these people. That's the thing that I find really, really exciting about these things. Like Johnny Nelson, I'm so chuffed to chat to Johnny Nelson, because I'd met him as a first year uni student, and I remember his charisma when he was just selling Sheffield Hallam sports kit. I didn't know he was a boxer. I didn't know anything about him, but I remember just thinking, why is he doing this job? Like, the guy looks like a movie star. I couldn't get my head around it, and I had no idea who he was. And then, as the years went by, and then I saw him on Sky, I was like, what? Hang on a minute. I swear I remember this guy. So to then come back round and be able to meet him, and it to be worthwhile, and to connect with him, and to be able to kind of ask him questions that had popped into my mind, having started to know about his story, that's so much more. You know, all the subscribers go back in the box at the end of it all. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're going to take them to heaven or wherever we end up at the end of it all. So it's just about the ride along the way. So being able to meet these different people, I think that's the thing that you should always keep in mind. Like, that's the important thing, man.
To be honest, I wish you could turn the analytics off and just focus on creating good content. Like, on the YouTube options, there's no option to turn off analytics. I know some people enjoy looking at them, but for me personally, I wish you could just turn them off. And to be honest, I think I'm gonna stop looking at them.
I think, yeah, I know a friend of mine has a rule that he'll look at them once a day at a certain time, and that's it. So he'll look at it at 3 p.m. He's going to look at it once, and that's it. He's got a rule. And it's a bit like Instagram or whatever apps you might have on your phone, or wherever you look at those things. you know, it's almost worth deleting those apps if you don't want to get kind of caught up in the things that you can't control. You just got to keep remembering that you can't control it. You know, you can't control it that much, to be honest. You really can't.
So obviously, you said that it has to be with somebody that you like and somebody that you actually want to speak to. But has there ever been a person that you really wanted to get on and they're just not interested in doing it?
Well, you know, there's a few people that I've had on that, haven't had on yet, that have said no. So one person who said no, and it was a little while ago. It was she's a presenter called Julie Adenuga. I think she's an amazing presenter. She did a lot of stuff for Apple Music, and now I think she's left there now. She's doing something else. But you know, that's the one thing with the process. I've got a lot of blokes on there. Too many blokes on there. I need to get some women on there, and I would have loved to chat to her. I just think she's amazing. So I did ask her, and she said, she said no, and she's like, oh, I just don't really feel like I'm there yet to do those kind of things. And then she kind of hit it big over the year after that. And now she's flying, but I knew she was gonna kind of fly. But yeah, she said, oh, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. And I was like, I totally get it. Absolutely fine. So yeah, that was one. Trevor Nelson's a guy who, like, I really like my soul music and my R&B music and stuff like that. And I kind of grew up with him. He's a radio DJ, and I tried to get in touch with him a few times and he hasn't replied, which is, you know, again, is just part of it, isn't it? You kind of, some people do, some people don't. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I need to get back on it really, because I'm kind of, yeah, you're making me think it, mate. Because yeah, I do love doing it. I just kind of with Corona, it's just I had a couple of sort of set up as well actually, but with Corona, it just put a stop to it. But yeah, not too many people, to be honest. Like any of the YouTuber lot they've all been cracking, and you know, I knew all of them before, so that made it easier. But you know, there were people like Will. Will was amazing. Will was like, when do I get to do it? I was like, oh right, yeah, of course you could do it, mate. You've got fucking 4 million subs. I'll have that. But yeah, so that was really nice. And yeah, it's been really good. I think, you know, do you know what, over COVID, I've spoken to someone like I sort of spoke about him earlier. I've spoken to Jack a lot more. You know, not a huge amount, but a bit more, got to know him a little bit better. I think that's one that a lot of people have always kind of been asking for. So I think me and Jack will need to sit down and have a chat at some point. But yeah, do you know what I'd love to do? Here's the thing that annoyed me, actually. I tried to reach out to a publisher, because obviously a publisher has people that have autobiographies. And so I was thinking, oh, look, you'll have this nice stream of people that are going to be coming out or doing autobiographies or whatever, self-help books or whatever. And that might be a nice sort of stream of people that I could get on. And that's another one I need to get. I think I'll look to do that again. But I think they didn't come back to me, which is silly on their part, to be honest, because the publicity of those books is often quite hard to come by. So I think I might look to do that again soon, because if I could get, like you said, if I could get that kind of regular stream of guests that I'm excited to talk about, then I think we might have something here, Anthony. We might have something.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying about having too many blokes on, because I've had a similar problem here, but I handled it in a completely the wrong way. So if there's any up-and-coming podcasters out there that listen to this, don't copy what I did. But basically, it turned me completely insane. I was just trying to get. It sounds really bad, but in hindsight, it's just literally how stupid I took it. I was just trying to get any female on that I could, just because I was going insane. So I understand what you were saying, but at the end of the day, mate, it don't matter how many male you have on, how many female you have on. If they're a good person to talk to, then just do it.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Absolutely. No, I just think it's about perspectives. That's the thing with these kind of things is you don't want to have the same conversation twice. So for me, I think, having that female perspective, like I've learned a lot of my wife, I've learned so much from my wife about how, how a woman thinks, like, in terms of, and how, they're treated in society. And it does open your eyes when you hear new perspectives from different people. So I think that's the thing that I'd want to touch on with a female guest, is the kind of, just to kind of try and open the eyes of both myself and the audience of the process of being a woman in whatever industry you're in, because it's, equality is, something that obviously everyone's still striving for, but it's still not something that exists.
Yeah, yeah, because I think obviously equality is very important, and I think too many people don't like to talk about equality because it makes them feel awkward, and I don't know why in the current society we can't talk about these sort of things and actually have a sensible conversation, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right. Ajura, and I think it's because people feel threatened, and understandably so. Like people, yeah, white people can feel threatened because we've had it our own way for a long time, and now now people kind of the aim is that you're getting people in the right positions so that they're making fairer decisions. And so if that happens, the people that have been served the best, there's going to be a challenge to them at the very least, which is a good thing. And so that's why people get funny about it. In my opinion, people feel threatened. They feel and they feel like it's going to be to the detriment of them and their lives. But again, zooming out, it's if you want equality, you have to truly want it. You can't be threatened by it, and you need to be able to have, like you say, sensible conversations about it.
And you can't you can't you can't pick and choose what equality you want to support. Like, you can't say we need more women in the game, but then when it comes to different races and different cultures, you can't say no, we don't want that, but we want more women in the game.
That's it, man.
You need to have equality all across the board, don't you?
You do, and the important thing is with a lot of the people that are getting opportunities now is that they are quality. They are. Alex Scott is brilliant. I worked with Darren Bent at the weekend. He was brilliant, and trust me, I've worked with ex-footballers that are not brilliant. And he was superb, and he's, I was chatting to him about his Talk Sport gigs and everything that he's doing there, and it doesn't, it's obvious. It's obvious that he should be getting all these opportunities because he's really, really good. And that's, for someone who's kind of, ambitious and wants to keep presenting things and stuff like that, I think when it comes to this equality, like the crucial thing is that it's about everyone being good. It's about it being on merit. And so when you see someone like Darren Bent doing brilliantly, what else can you do apart from nod and be pleased for him, because he's really talented.
I think Darren Bent got one of them voices where you can just listen to him all day, and that's a very rare quality to have, especially nowadays in TV. A lot of them sound like the bored half of the time. Well, that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, he was great. Like, yeah, you never know when you're working with different people at any point, and he's, like I say, he's fantastic. So yeah, I feel like we're moving in the right direction, and people seeing that, yeah, there needs to be that equality. So yeah, I'm all for it, man. It's all good.
Do you watch soccer Saturday on the weekend, or do you have it on in the background at all, or not really?
So I was working, so I then was kind of heading back after it, so I didn't see it. Who was on it this week? I saw something on Twitter. People were never happy on Twitter, are they? But I don't think people found it a bit boring, did they? I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say, because I don't know who was on it, so I was hoping I was hoping you would have seen it, so
Right.
you could have
I
told me
think it
it was on
was,
it.
off the top of my head, I think it was, I feel like Tim Sherwood was in it and Glenn Johnson was in it as well, maybe. But you know, with those, that's another example. It's like people are getting it a bit twisted with things like Question of Sports changing, I think, and what is it? Yeah, Soccer Saturday changing as well. Like they need to be changed. They've got people, in my opinion. If you come to, like we were talking about YouTube content, it's coming to the end of the cycle of some certain shows, and unless you freshen it up, it will just slowly die anyway. So things like Question of Sport, which I used to watch all the time, I don't think people watch it anymore because they're not excited about it, because they've seen Phil Tufnell and Sue Barker and what's his name, Matt Dawson, on it for a long time. And so it's nothing against them. You just need to kind of keep refreshing these things. And same goes with Soccer Saturday. They've had changes to the panel in the past, but I think the thing is this time that there's a change to the panel in a period of time where people are going, there needs to be more opportunities. And then it puts up the back of certain people that, like we were saying earlier, get threatened. So there'll be changes to that, to Soccer Saturday. But again, like from a merit point of view, there needed to be changes. Like I've heard everything those guys have got to say.
No offense to Tim Sherwood, but, but I would think that would be a bit disappointing for new. Because like when I heard they were bringing new people onto the show, I thought they were going to be young, energetic people, and no offense to Tim Sherwood, but he's not that guy, is he?
No, I don't think he is that guy, mate. He's no, I agree with you. But this is it, isn't it? This is opinions. Your opinion will be different to a 55-year-old's opinion. And actually, the thing to remember, this is the thing that I think younger people forget, is TV is for me, TV is a struggling medium at the moment, and it's an aging medium as well. So people watching TV at that moment in time, they generally are older. So if they're older, they want older people with them. And that is why on TV, you've had the same presenters for 20 years. Because in this 20-year period where people are starting to go on YouTube and go on whatever they want to go on different platforms, the people that are watching TV are the same age. And so they just got 20 years older. So that's why Davina, and I'm not having to go any of these presenters, but Davina McCall is over 50. Dermot's probably getting close to it. Tess Daly's over 50. Claudia Winkleman's in late 40s. Like Jeff Stelling's nearly 60. Like all these guys, Philip Schofield, old. Like all these dudes are old because people who watch TV are old. So like it is what it is. You've got to be brave if you want to make the change.
I do wonder sometimes whether you have to be 50 plus to even be given a chance on TV.
And that's it, man. Yeah, well, but it's not a thoughtless idea, the fact that the older people keep getting the jobs. It's because the audience is old too. That's the thing for a lot of these things. If you look at and that's the problem they've got with TV as well, is that they struggle to get, like with YouTube, we talked about it a lot, but you get you can see how many people are watching your stuff. On TV, they still don't have the kind of metrics to help understand how many people are actually watching them. So the average age of the people watching it, there's only so much data that they've got, but I think generally the understanding is that people that watch telly are older. So again, you're gonna put someone in front of them that they identify with. So that's why they keep going with these older guys.
To be honest, the only reason I have a TV is so I can stream the internet off of it. That's the only reason I have a TV.
There you go.
Apart from the football and things like that, I don't really watch TV like that. I might watch a box set every now and again, but even that's not real TV, is it? Like,
yeah, well, it's the new TV, isn't it? The fact that you can, that's something that people used to watch on YouTube on their computer screen. Then they started watching it on their phone, and then they started beaming it back onto their big screen, sat in their living room. So it is the new TV, mate. It's the new TV.
Eventually, do you think YouTube will be like Do you think I don't know how to explain it without sounding a bit weird, but do you think YouTube will be in everything? Like they'll be like in boxing, they'll be like in.
I think that's already happened, mate. If I'm honest, I think they've moved. Like I did stuff with the Premier League. The Premier League's moved there and started a channel there. Sky Sports have a much better understanding of that the stuff that they put on TV, they clip it up and they get it on YouTube as quickly as possible. Name a big company, a big TV company. Generally, they're apart from the BBC, who've got a bit more of a problem because it's a government thing, so they're actually trying to create their own platforms. Most big companies have invested, heavily in YouTube and online stuff, because that's where the world is now. So it is kind of everywhere, which makes it harder for the likes of me and you, smaller creators who are trying to kind of keep going and trying to keep doing well, because you kind of you're getting kind of washed away a lot of the time by bigger channels that are putting so much content out. It's tough.
Do you think there's too many platforms with Netflix and Amazon Prime, and then you've got the BBC releasing their platform for streaming, and I think there's just too many platforms to follow for me. Like if you wanted to pay for all of them, yeah, it cost you arm and a leg every month, basically.
I think, well, that's the problem. Often it's people. People want to make money, so people try and find different ways of making money, and that's that sort of subscription model is the way that a lot of people do it now. So
I obviously understand it from their perspective, but as a consumer, it can be a bit annoying because.
Of course.
I decided to cancel my Amazon Prime because I wasn't using it, and I decided to go on to Disney Plus because they've got all the Marvel stuff on there.
Oh, nice. Well, that's it. I mean, I guess that'll be it then. You'll have to make your choice. Unfortunately, when there's so much there, you'll have to kind of go, is it Marvel that I need in my life? Yes, it is. So you need to get yourself Disney. Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because the Spurs documentary, I've heard a lot of interesting things about it, but I haven't actually seen it. Right. Now, I know you've done a video on it, but do you still agree with that video, or have you changed your mind?
No, I think I still agree with it, definitely. And I think that's been kind of proven by the rest of the world. Like I think it's a beautiful documentary visually, and I've watched. That's the first 3 episodes I watched when I made that video. I've watched 4, 5, and 6. I look forward to watching 7. It's an enjoyable thing to watch, but the biggest question with a documentary, because when you do a documentary, you film a lot. So the biggest question with a documentary is what you leave out and what as much as what you put in. And a lot of stuff has been left out, and it's a very PG documentary, which I think, if you got the top people at Amazon to be honest about it themselves, I think they would happily admit that. So it is what it is. Like I say, I really enjoy watching it, but is it a bit fluffy? Yeah, it is a bit fluffy. Yeah, I think it is, mate.
To be honest, in hindsight, if you ask them honestly, I think Spurs as a club would rather done it the season when they ended up in the Champions League final, because that makes a better documentary, doesn't it, as a viewer? But obviously they didn't have Jose Mourinho, and obviously he's a big box office manager, isn't he? And I don't think it would have been that good with Pot. So it's a double-edged sword, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. They were kind of they wanted to go big on Jose. I get why they did that. He is the one that we really want to see. That's why I said in the video, he's the money. And so they got on that as soon as possible. I think the idea that it's just a Jose documentary, well, he's the manager. So like, you know, and he's the most interesting person. So, you know, in any other documentary, you follow you know, involve the figurehead or the most interesting person, and he's both. So I don't see any problems with that. But yeah.
It is a bit weird how they got to the final of the Champions League, and then the next season where they didn't do a lot in comparison to what they did the previous season, they decided to record the documentary.
Yeah, well, that's it. And then I think that's the thing. That's the jarring for a lot of people watching it, is that everyone's like, "Well, hang on a minute, this was a car crash of a season, really," and they've kind of spun it into. They just haven't highlighted some of the faults, or not even highlighted some of the faults. I think it's more kind of been clearer and stayed in the kind of the mud for a little bit longer. Like, I think they could have done that, which they didn't. They did have, you know, they had a lot of problems with injuries. COVID definitely happened. We know that. But it's the Pochettino stuff. I think they must have had so much footage of that day, and we don't see Pochettino leave his office. Yet you've got a camera there when Mourinho comes into his office. So some content's being left out.
I hope they didn't record him when he was being sacked, because I really would have thought that would have been a good thing to record when somebody's losing their job. Obviously, they didn't put that in, but I hope they didn't record it.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the point is that it's supposed to be like crazy insight and everything, and you've got a camera in Jose Mourinho's office. So I would presume that used to be Pochettino's office. I presume there, you know, this is what I mean. One of the biggest talkables of a documentary is the negotiations beforehand and how much free reign you have. And they seem to be set up for lunches with Mourinho and Levy, and you know, they seem to be everywhere else. Why weren't they there in that moment? I think they probably were. They just didn't use it.
As I say, I just think they did record that. I just think, me personally, as a human being, I just don't think that would have been right to record that. Obviously, they didn't use it, but I just think that would not have been right to record that somebody losing their job.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's it. But I bet the documentary makers, I bet they would have loved to have recorded it and put it out.
Well, of course, but there's a certain standard that you have to. There's a certain standard, I believe, that you have to stick to as a human being, and I would never record somebody losing their job.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree a little bit, bud. Just because, you know, once you know a documentary is taking place, you know, you can't. It's like, you know, it's like signing a contract. I mean, Pochettino must have kind of, I presume, I would presume he would have been told, do you want to do this or not? And he'd have to say yes or no. So once it does come to be, yeah, I wonder if that might have been the only thing. Pochettino might have been not keen on it and may have not signed certain kind of stipulations that meant certain meetings and things like that weren't going to be kind of put in it. That's what I mean. You don't know the negotiations, but you know, generally, if you do sign up to something like this, then it needs to be. That's how you get content that is truthful, you know, for good or for bad. So, you know, that's what I would say.
And to be fair, he did get a good severance package.
Yeah, he's all right. Let's not worry about him too much. He's enjoying life, I think. Yeah, he's not had to give up on his Amazon Prime, hasn't he?
I would imagine the amount of money he got paid. He probably wouldn't have cared if they would have recorded it.
Yeah, he would have been there. He's just counting his money as he walks out the door. That's it.
So if you could speak to any 5 people in the world, who would you like to speak to?
5 people. Wow. I'd love to. Who would I love to talk to? Do you know who popped into my head there? I'd love to chat to. Ronaldo would be fascinating. I'd be fascinated to chat to Ronaldo. Not because I'm a huge fan. I just find him, he's different. He does seem different. Messi would be great, but I think you might struggle to get what you want from him. I'd love to, someone like Leonardo DiCaprio, I'd love to chat to, just to kind of go, like, what's the truth here? Like, he's had this like Playboy life for like 30 years. I think that would be interesting. Obama would be amazing. The sort of the grace he kind of carries himself with, I think is fascinating. I'd actually rather talk to Obama and it not be filmed. I'd love to just be able to chat with him for an hour and it'd be completely honest and him truly tell me how he feels about certain things. I mean, that's 3, isn't it? No, is that 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
3,
Yeah, that was 3. Sorry. Yeah, that was 3.
That's 3. Okay. Who else? Who else? I go to sport a lot of the time.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Struggling.
My ones are all based in one category anyway, so don't worry about it if you can't.
They all wrestlers, are they?
Well, I'm going to be a large majority of them are, but a lot of them work behind the scenes, like the producers and that. Unless you understand exactly how it works, it must be pretty weird when you see arrest, because basically the wrestling world is a lot like the football world. Like you have loads of behind the scenes stories and that, and it just a lot of controversy at times.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Is like how much are people kind of willing to. Another person I haven't been able to talk to yet, but I've always wanted to is John Amici, who's a basketball player, British guy, one of the first basketball players from the UK to play in the NBA. But he's actually a psychologist now, and he's a really, really interesting guy. I'd love to talk to him at some point. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, Stevie Wonder. God, Stevie Wonder that's the one. Sorry, for the rest down to the bottom, Stevie Wonder. I would love to talk to Stevie Wonder because I think he's just the music that he's made, his ability to write poetry and therefore articulate himself is just wonderful. Yeah, Stevie Wonder, sorry.
So my ones are I'm gonna try and be a bit diverse, not just name people in the same category. Number 1 would have to be Dr. Dre, just because he's obviously an icon, and he's been very influential in a lot of people's careers, some bad, some good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great shout.
But the problem with a lot of these people is you aren't gonna get an honest conversation out of them half of the time. So is it really worth it?
Well, that's it, man. I think that's our job. That's our job, is to kind of understand. And that's the thing. I've like, say, journalists, I get quite confused by journalists sometimes because I'm like, certainly sports journalists, because they're kind of the transfer. There's a podcast I listen to called The Transfer Show, and they've got all this sort of in the know information. And I'm thinking, and then they're telling people on the podcast, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, like, where's the trust? Like, I don't understand where the trust is. So I get a bit confused with stuff like that. But I feel like, I would like my job to be, as the years go by, is to be a trusted sort of place, if you know what I mean, and so that you can kind of allow people to feel comfortable and drop their guard a little bit, and then have a conversation where they don't get, they don't get sort of backed into a corner, where they actually feel like inspired to say how they feel safely.
I hate interviews like that. That's why I started this interview series, so I can talk to people honestly. And if I don't like something they do, if I don't like, say like if an artist produces a bad song, I'm the sort of person that would, I'm the sort of person that would say, to be honest, mate, I didn't really like that song, and here's why. And I think that's a better interview style than
Mm-hmm.
just kissing their ass.
That's it. Well, yeah. I don't think you need to kiss their ass. I think
Uh,
you got to try and I think they want to know that you're trying to understand them. I think that's important.
Obviously, you have to be respectful, but if you say I didn't really like it, maybe they can explain it to you a bit better, like the meaning behind the song or
Yeah. Good
whatever
point.
the whatever the subject is, they can explain it better to you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're spot on, mate.
Because you know when you see like these artists going to these shows, it's very great album, great song, great whatever the subject is, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's it, and then it just like move on to the next one.
Yeah, I know a presenter who would, if they hated a film and they had to talk to someone about the film, they would go, the way they would introduce it, they say the name of the film, and then they go, "Wow, that is a film." That's what that was their way of that was their way of saying, "I don't like it, but I don't want to say it to your face." So that's your way around it.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with saying it. It's just not. Obviously, on TV, you do have to play the game to a certain extent. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're having a conversation with them honestly, you can just say, "Look, the movie wasn't for me, but I appreciate your work," or something like that.
Yeah. I'd love to see you. I'd love to see you do that.
Seriously, I would,
I
because
bet I know you would.
I've had I've had controversial people on here before, yeah. Like, I'm not going to go into it, but something has happened with one of my guests, yeah. And I basically said to him, what you did was wrong, but I'm glad you finally got what, the help that you got. I'm glad you finally got the help that you needed, basically.
All right, love. Oh, good for you, man. Yeah, it sounds like you're very honest in your interviews. It's good. So that's how it should be.
So going back to my five, number two would have to be Jimmy Iovine.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously it's very influential in music as a whole.
Yeah.
So, and also I think it comes across as one of them people that are just really cool and really chill to talk to. Like, you never see him really get angry or anything like that.
Yeah, he does seem very level, doesn't he? And he doesn't not very what's the word? He doesn't sort of take any
He's not,
bullshit, does he? He's
he's
pretty
not,
pretty clinical.
he's not very standoffish either.
Yeah. I think that's obviously that's done him good as the years have gone by. He's been very successful, made some big decisions, hasn't he?
Yeah, and my number three would have to be Kevin Hart. I just find Kevin Hart an interesting guy. I love it. I don't love his movies, but I enjoy his movies, and I think he comes across as a lovely guy. I'm sure sometimes he can be an arsehole, but that's I think that's human nature. Like, not everybody's gonna be nice 100%, 100% of the time. I know sometimes I can be arsehole, and I'm sure you can be sometimes as well.
Okay, yeah. You've spotted it. You've spotted it already. Yeah, that's true. We're all arseholes sometimes, mate. We're all arseholes sometimes.
I like the mentality of I like the mentality of where they're in the public eye. So they have to be nice all the time. I personally think no matter if you no matter if you're in the public eye or not, some days you are gonna be an arsehole. Because we've all had them days where we don't want to be bothered, don't we? just want to be left alone. And we know we are nobodies. So can you imagine when you get people coming up to you every 5 seconds for a picture or for an autograph?
Yeah,
I I understand that's a part of the gig, but it must be pretty annoying at times.
I think it's got to be exhausting, isn't it? It's got to be exhausting.
It's difficult, really, because as I say, I can understand it from their side, but I can understand I can also understand when people say that's what they signed up for.
Yeah, it's like any job, there's a byproduct a lot of the time, and for that one, I've seen that with a lot of people. They're sort of walking down the street once you get recognised a lot. It's a weird thing, it's a really weird thing, and if becomes the norm, it just slows you down, doesn't it? So it must be a bit exhausting at times.
Speaking of that, yeah, obviously, there's a whole situation with Mason Greenwood and who was it? I can't remember the other guy, but there was a situation in the England camp where they got sent home. Now, from what I know, from what I've heard, yeah, they were quite right to be sent home. But I think people are forgetting that they are young. They are young people.
Yeah, the problem is, I guess it's newsworthy, isn't it? And then I think, I don't know, I guess Southgate, the point was that they're supposed to be there for the game, not there for the other game. Um, so so I can understand kind of getting sent back. I mean, is this the first time this has ever happened in an England squad? I'd be very, 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 very surprised. But I would say, yeah, it's because it's newsworthy, it becomes a thing. But I think the broader nation will kind of be like, not too bothered about it, really, will they?
to be honest, I know a lot of people that don't really care about England like that. Like they just care about club football. To be honest, I'm not really bothered by England. If they do well, great, but it doesn't upset me when they don't win. To be honest, because of how much people get into it, I I find I find humour when they lose because people build them up so much. Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah, I'm one of those people that you're laughing at there because I love England, but yeah, I can understand. But Schadenfreude, it's called, I think. It's that's the enjoyment of other people's misery. Thanks for that, Anthony. Thanks a lot. I care about England a lot.
I think you got every right to, obviously, but I just find it really peculiar. We have this every 4 years.
It's true. That is true. But I mean, that's being a football fan as well. Every year, you live in hope. That's all we have. That's all we have, mate.
Like we qualify in them. People get excited when we win our first game, and then we get all excited, and then we face somebody like Germany or somebody like that, and then we end up losing, and then people wonder why we lost.
I know. Bringing up old wounds here, but we got a good squad now, so it's coming. It's coming.
To be honest, I think I've always thought this, yeah, because when you look when you look at teams like Germany, a lot of their players either play for Bayern Munich or Dortmund for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
From what I know, anyway, I could be wrong, and I think that's why they're so successful because they play together all year round. Some of them do, so I think that could be a good contributor to their success.
I think, yeah, it's a good point. Same with Barcelona, wasn't it? With Spain being so good, as you had so many Barcelona and Real Madrid players, even though they hate each other, that's only two teams. So you've got a lot of people that have good chemistry.
Yeah. And obviously, when you got a player from Chelsea and then you got a player from Man City, and then the odd occasion you might have somebody from a Villa, like let's just say Jack Greeley. They're obviously going to play different styles throughout the season, so I do sympathise with the players. We'll have to go away and learn our whole new system.
That's it, yeah. But we got good players. We got really good players. I think we're gonna. It's coming, Anthony, and I'm gonna message you as soon as it happens. And I'm gonna go, ha! See, I told you.
If they do win the World Cup, I'll be the first one to
I want to. Yeah, I want to. You're not allowed to celebrate, Anthony. You're not allowed unless you're gonna be here for the lows. You can't be here for the highs.
No, to be honest, if they did win something like a Euros or World Cup, yeah, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong.
Good. I look forward to it. Mate.
So I was wondering, yeah, do you know the process? Yeah, let just say you can have anybody in the world on. Actually, let's just say you can have anybody on, like live or dead. Who do you go for?
Live or dead? Alive or dead? Do you know what I would love to? So there'd be a language barrier, but I do a 2-year intensive course of Spanish. I would love to sit down with Diego Maradona. I would love. He's obviously alive still, but I would love. I should have said him actually when my 5. He's living through the 80s, living in Napoli. Drugs, sex, football, like all that stuff. He would be a fascinating person to talk to. I would love to talk to him and get the truth. Again, with all these people, yeah, you wonder if you can get the truth on camera. That's, I think, been a good thing about the process with the YouTubers that you get is I think you get more honesty because I think they're more used to being on camera and they're more used to being open about how they feel about things. Whereas for footballers, I think they're guarded for a lot of the time, or actually sort of saying that, dead or alive, I think you've got to say someone like Muhammad Ali, like to be able to kind of be in his presence and sit down with him and just kind of hear his thoughts on the world. Like for someone with his charisma, I think that would have been right up there as well in terms of 2 people that you kind of to understand his process, someone who's and maybe touch on the misdemeanors in his life. He was a bit of a Lothario, which like I think a lot of people in those positions are, but then a very religious man and a man with obviously a great heart, and so I think he would be a fascinating person to talk to.
My one would have to be I wanna say somebody like Tupac or maybe Easy. Because I think they would be interesting people to chat to.
Yeah, I like Rick Rubin as well. I really like Rick Rubin. He's got his own podcast. He's really interesting as well.
Actually, I know I'm going to say I would love to sit down with Dwayne Johnson, but not the TV or not the ready for camera Dwayne Johnson, like the actual person, Dwayne Johnson, and just shoot the shit.
Yeah. I bet he's got some stories. I bet he's got some amazing stories.
But I think he'll be too calculated, to be honest. He knows exactly what to say. I think he's gone through so much media training that I don't think you will know what was real and what isn't real.
Yeah.
Because I've heard stories that he does speak a lot about us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Americans generally are media trained. They come out the womb like that. So yeah.
What you were saying, like our YouTubers are more likely to be honest on camera. The one interview that I did that I thought was really underrated is the Laura Woods interview.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one because I didn't expect it to come on first thing, and when she did come on, she was actually speaking to me normally and not being condescending. Because I thought because she works at BT, sorry, not, I didn't mean BT, I meant Talk Sports, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Because she works at them platforms, I thought you would be all condescending.
Yeah, I mean, but Laura's, Laura started on YouTube. Like, I know Laura from way back. So she's, she's had that. That's the thing. I think often you see people at, Sky or Talk Sport, and you forget that she was working for a long, long time. She's been talented for a long, long time, and now is finally getting the opportunity to do what she wants to do. So, or, at that higher level. So she's always been a nice girl.
But obviously, once I researched her, once I started talking to her, she's actually quite a funny person.
She's very funny, yeah.
Because we had a bit of a laugh. Because on Google, when you type in her name, it brings up somebody different. Like, because there's somebody called Laura Wood here, and she's 42 and got two children. And obviously that isn't Lord's that we know. So we had a bit of a laugh. About that. So
That's nice.
That was cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. She's lovely. I've known her a long time. I haven't seen her for a long time, actually, to be fair. But yeah, she's brilliant. She's one of the best. She's so good at what she does because exactly what you're saying. She gets a good rapport with people, right?
Yeah, as I say, I didn't expect it to come out for 1 minute. Because a lot of these people, I reach out to them, but I know in the back of my mind, it's pretty unlikely that they're going to come on. But if you don't try, then you don't know, do you?
That's it, mate. If you don't shoot, you don't score, mate. You don't shoot, you don't score. Well, I'm pleased. I'm pleased Loz recommended you. It's been nice to chat to you, bud.
Breaking the full year, do you know when they contacted you? We were actually recording it at that time.
Say that again, mate.
Do you know when they contacted you? The first thing you mentioned about me to you. Do you know when he was doing that? He was actually on it at the time.
Ah, was he?
Because I mentioned that I really enjoyed the process and I would love to speak to you. And then he said, I will contact you.
Oh, he did it there and then, did he? Cheeky. Well, yeah, he did. But no, yeah, any recommendation from Loz, I can trust.
So it's nice when people recommend you because then I think it gives you validation and it can give you confidence.
Yeah, it's warm introduction. It's called. Instead of you, like you say, you don't even know what to put as the subject header, which is true. When someone else goes, "Oh, hi, this is this is Anthony. He's really cool. I'd like you to do an interview with him, or you should definitely do an interview with him." Then it's sort of there's a bit of credit in the bank, I guess.
In the wrestling business, it's called putting you over.
Pulling you over. Ah.
No, not pulling. Putting.
Oh, putting. All right. I thought you meant like over the ropes, pulling you over, pulling you into the ring.
No. Yeah, so it's always nice when people recommend you because it gives you that validation that sometimes it can really drive you forward. It drove me forward anyway.
But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's the good thing about YouTube. Everyone working together. I think it's a really nice part of it.
So I have a couple more questions. I have two mainly. So you work for Sky in some way. You work for Sky Sports on occasions, don't you? Or you
a couple of I've been a guest on a show on Sky's show a couple of times. Yeah.
I meant to misunderstood because I thought you had like an influency sort of show and that you were the host of or something like that. Cause I
No,
thought,
that's I've been on it. I've been on that show a couple of times, but that's Saturday Social, that's called. I think that's with Joe Tomlinson. You know Joe?
honestly, no, I don't.
Yeah. So I see he shouldn't be presenting that. I should, like, I am. He's going over here.
That's seriously all respect to Joe, but I've never actually heard him or seen him. So
Oh, you're
I,
missing out.
the one thing I don't like to do, I don't like to lie to people. So if I haven't heard of you, I'm just gonna say I haven't heard of you.
Well, you just did. You just did.
Because you see so many people lying to people and say, I know exactly who you are, and they clearly do not have a clue.
Christ. All right. Leave Joe alone now. I'll send you a picture of him.
Okay, obviously no offended.
No. He's fine. Don't worry.
My last question would be, how would you like to be remembered?
Pinching Brian's questions there, Anthony. How would I like to be? Do you know what? How would I like to be remembered? Do you know what? I was listening. I don't know. I think someone who cared. I think that's someone who cared. Yeah, I think something as simple as that is. So you want to be known as being talented, but I think it's someone who cared and someone who people cared about. Like I think big thing with me, a lot of stuff is the feeling of things. So if I'm someone who made you you felt something when you met me, or we when you heard my name, I would like that. And if it's a positive thing, then great. But yeah, I think generally it's about having a positivity and trying to put that out into the world, because there's enough negative out there. So I think, yeah, that's someone who cared.
Well, I'm going to remember you as the person, from the Euros 2016. That was the interesting trip for you, wasn't it?
In 2016.
Was
Yeah.
it 2016 or was it a bit earlier than that?
So yeah, 2016 was the Euros, where I was getting like tear gassed and all that stuff. Yeah, which was exhausting. I was exhausted running away from which you seem to enjoy, which is fine. And and then we've had some all the major tournaments. We've had some drama. We had a trip to Russia for 2018 with Flav and Sam Peoples, which was chaos as well. So I've had a few adventures when it comes to the national tournaments. Hopefully I can go on one again next year. That would be good.
Hopefully you can go on one and it can be a normal trip.
Yeah, a nice glamorous one where I've got tickets and I'm not getting tear gassed. That would be lovely. That's the dream. Yeah, if I can have one tournament where I'm not getting tear gassed, that would be nice.
At least the reason why I'm laughing is because obviously went out okay in the end. You made it back in one piece. So
that's true.
So that's the only reason why I'm finding.
No, it's you're not the first person to laugh at that. It's they're all good stories, aren't they? That's part of it as well. It's nice to be there for. That's the thing I love with all that stuff, is being able to be there is special. And even if there was a bit of tear gas in my eye a few times.
But in all seriousness, I'm gonna remember you obviously for the process. As I said in the beginning, great series, and I hope it returns when we can be in the same room together.
That's it, mate. Yeah, I need to get on it. I definitely need to get it. You've inspired me to look into it again. Get people sat down and start talking.
Obviously you probably have more of this person, but I think you and Laura would have a great chat together, because you're very similar in the way that you speak, and I mean that in a good way.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't mind being compared to Laura. I'd love to have Laura on. Yeah, I'll try and reach out to her, and I'll see if I can get it done.
Because I think if you can come on my small channel, I can't see no reason why she wouldn't want to come on yours.
Maybe, yeah. Well, make sure I've met her, so maybe she just didn't like me the first time. Maybe that's the problem. There's something you've got that I haven't clearly. But yeah, no, I would love to chat to her because there's a lot of stuff that she has to battle with, as well as just being super talented. So that would be a great one to do. Maybe I need to get on it.
The one thing I did forget to mention, you know, when you're interviewing people and you don't actually want something, and then later on you remember it or it comes back up. Do you think these are, oh, do you think it's like, oh no, I could have had this, I could have had like this, I could have had like that, or not really?
Yeah, no, definitely. That happens all the time. You kind of go, oh, I've got to ask about this, or like you have your notes and things that you would have wanted to get to, but sometimes you got to be careful. Kind of, sometimes I'm like wary of how long we've been talking for, and you want to kind of keep moving it along. And if you kind of zone into something for too long, you need to just hurry up a little bit with other bits and pieces. So it's that's part of the art of it, I guess, as much as anything, is utilizing the time you've got to the best of your ability. So there's sometimes you have to make those kind of quick calls to kind of not ask certain things, and that's just it is what it is. You got to kind of make those calls, but you get better each time you do it, and yeah, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah, so thank you for coming on, James.
My pleasure, mate.
Why do you have the longest name in the history of YouTube?
I do. I just thought James Allcott was so boring. It was so boring. And Lawrence is quite an important name in my family. My uncle, my granddad, both have called James Lawrence. So I nearly called it James Lawrence. And then I was like, well, that's not actually my name. People are just going to call me James Lawrence. So I just chucked it all on there. And I just checked it all on there, and yeah, it's still there now. And I'm not really sure why I did it, but I did. And yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna call you James.
That suits me. That suits me, mate. Good choice. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, mate. You're a lovely bloke, I can tell.
And you, mate, have a nice day. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and share. And if you want to go listen to the audio I don't know why. If you want to go listen to the audio version without the cameras and that, it'll be on my SoundCloud. So do you want to promote your social media, Jay?
Sure. I know. Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing I'm going to promote is this guy needs to be on 1,000 subscribers. That needs to happen as soon as possible. So if you are watching this right now and you haven't clicked that button yet, I'm going to say it for him. Hit the button. It'll take you 2 seconds. Stop being a knob. Press the button. Okay? The guy's got some of the best people I've ever seen on his podcast. Get it done. Okay? Hit the like button whilst you're there. Comment down below. Do all these things. It helps. Okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to say. If you do want to check me out, then I've got the longest name on YouTube. My name is James Lawrence Allcott. You can go check me out. But as I say, forget that. Focus on your mouse. Move it to the right a bit. Click the subscribe button. Let's get this man to 1,000.
Okay. I really appreciate that promotion, mate.
My pleasure, bro.
I'll play you afterwards.
Yeah, good man.
Obviously, that is a joke. Those people that can't understand sarcasm.
It's not a joke. Hit the button.
Okay, guys. Thank you for watching, and speak to you later.